Hey guys, this is the activity that we're working on, the slope stained glass window activity. Some of you might be having trouble with the directions, so I just put this quick video together to help answer any questions. I'm going to show you how I'm going to approach this. It says, first, choose 3 equations from each column to graph. Circle the equations you choose. So I started out and I chose 3 equations. I picked x is equal to 4, I said x is equal to -6, and I said x is equal to -2. Okay, so I'm going to start first with my x equals, which x equals tells me, that makes me remember VUX, x equals. So I know that these 3 lines are actually going to be vertical lines. So for the first equation, my x is equal to 4. So I'm going to write in x is equal to 4 right here. Okay, it means my x's are actually always going to be 4. Doesn't matter in my input table, x's are always going to be 4. And in this case, my y values, if I graph it, it's going to be a vertical line. My y values really don't matter. I'm going to pick 0, 1, and 2. Okay, but you could pick 4, 5, 6. You could pick 7, 8, 9. So either way, my order pair is going to be 4, 0, 4, 1, and 4, 2. Okay, so I'm just taking my x is my input, my y is my output. This is a special case, x is equal to 4, so my x's are always 4. Because it's a vertical line, my slope is undefined, so I'm going to put undefined here. And my y-intercept with a vertical line is actually going to be none. I'm never going to cross the y-axis. So there's my example for x is equal to 4. I would then do the same thing for x is equal to -6, and in this case my x's would be -6. It wouldn't matter what my y's are. Again, I could pick 0, 1, 2, okay? And then I get my corresponding x, y values, okay? My slope, again, is going to be undefined, and my y-intercept would be none, okay? And my third one that I picked here would be x is equal to -2. Okay, and I let you finish that off. So you pick 3 equations from that first column, and then you fill in the tables. Now my second column are my y values. So I'm going to think of HOI. So instead of VUX, we have HOI because y equals. So I know I'm making a horizontal line, okay? I'm going to circle, I'm going to do this one for y is equal to 3, and then I'm going to pick the next one, y is equal to 5, and then I picked y is equal to -14. Okay, so in this case, my y values are always going to be, so I'm going to pick y is equal to 3. I'm going to write the equation there, and my y values are always going to be 3 for this particular one. Okay, doesn't matter what my x values are? Nope, does not matter. I'm going to pick an input of 0 and I get an output of 3. Maybe I'll pick 1 and 2. So my ordered pairs would be 0, 3, 1, 3, and 2, 3. Okay, my slope for this horizontal line would be, well, the second letter tells me it's actually going to be a 0 slope, and my y-intercept is actually going to be 3 because my y is always 3, so it's going to cross at 3 for my y-intercept. So my second equation that I picked, and you're going to have a different one, might be y is equal to 5. In that case, my y values are always 5. Again, you can pick anything for your x's, okay, and then you would do your ordered pairs, okay. Your slope, again, would be 0. In this case, your y-intercept would be 5. All right, and then I'll let you pick your own third equation. Mine happened to be y is equal to -14. Okay, so at this point, you should have 6 lines. Okay, you should have these six tables filled out, and they correspond to 6 lines. You can go ahead and graph them right now if you'd like. You can make 3 vertical lines and 3 horizontal lines, or you can continue on. So if I went over and I graphed them, let me show you an example of me graphing them. So here's where I would graph here. So I have, in this example, I have x is equal to -2, and if you notice, when I did graph it, I actually did it in pencil first. Okay, so there's my x is equal to -2, and I would be sure to write the actual equation, x is equal to -2 on the line. So at the end, you're actually going to have 15 lines. So it's going to be important that you label each of the lines. And I suggest that when you start doing this, you actually do it in pencil, and that way you'll write over it in in marker, just to so you won't make any mistakes. So do it in pencil first. Okay, so the first 6 lines are done, okay, assuming that. Now let's go back to pick some of the other equations, the next the next 6 equations that you picked. In this case, I picked y is equal to x plus 1. I picked x minus 3. I picked 4x plus 3. Okay, so, and you're going to pick 3 more here. It doesn't matter what you pick. Okay, but when you're done, you're actually going to have a total of 12 equations, okay, that are circled. Okay, so if I have mine that I circled here, y is equal to x plus 1. I'm going to go on to the next example. So this is y is equal to x plus 1. All right, so that's my equation. All right, my input values it does not matter as long as you can graph them. So I'm going to pick again 0, 1, and 2. Okay, my input is 0. Now what will be important here is your output. I'm going to take my input of 0, plug it into this equation. If y is equal to 0 plus 1, my y is going to be equal to 1. Okay, so my ordered pair would be a 0 and a 1. Okay, y equals x plus 1. If I had an input of 1, I have 1 plus 1, and I would get a 2 for my output. So I would have an ordered pair of 1, 2. Okay, and then an input of 2 would give me 2 plus 1, which would be 3. So my input would be 2, my output would be 3. All right, now this is already in, remember, slope-intercept form. Y is equal to mx plus b. If I look at this equation, my coefficient before the x tells me my slope. In this case, my slope would be 1. Okay, because the coefficient, there's nothing there, but remember, the invisible coefficient is actually 1. All right, and this is plus 1, so that's my b, and my b is my y-intercept. So my b is going to be, my y-intercept is also 1. All right, the next equation that I circled was y is equal to x minus 3. All right, in this case, maybe I'll put in x value of -1, then 0, and 1. Again, my x values don't matter, but I'm going to plug them in and get my y values. So -1 minus 3 is going to give me a -4. A 0 minus 3 is going to give me a -3, and a 1 minus 3 is going to give me a -2. So now I can get my ordered pairs. Okay, so I've got -1, -4, 0, -3, and 1, -2. Okay, if I look at that equation, I can figure out my slope. Again, my coefficient's 1, so the slope is actually going to be +1, and my y-intercept is a -3. All right, and you're going to continue doing that for every equation that you pick. So you're going to have 6 more lines here that you're then going to graph. Okay, so you pick all of the equations that you want and you do it in a table for each of the equations. Okay, so you can pause this right now and go ahead and do them if you'd like, or we can move on and I can explain the next page. Okay, so the next page says choose 3 y-intercepts and 3 x-intercepts and y-intercept points to graph. Okay, circle the intercept point pairs that you choose. Well, I went ahead and I chose this one here, and then I chose this one here, and then I chose this one here. Okay, you should probably pick some different ones. Okay, but using that first example, my x-intercept is actually at -10, 0. My y-intercept, and that's given to you, is 0, 10. My slope, so my slope, remember, my slope is going to be my y2 minus my y of 1 divided by my x2 minus x of 1. So I've got 10 minus 0 divided by 0 plus 10 because I'm subtracting a negative. So I'm going to get 10 over 10, which means I simplify to 1. My slope is 1. That's positive. There's my first one. I'm going to do the same thing for the next 2. Okay, and then when I graph these points, I'm actually going to graph -10, 0 and 0, 10, the 2 points, and connect it with the line. Okay, so that makes for the next 3 lines. So altogether, you should have 15 lines on your graph when you finish. Okay, you'll probably do them first in pencil, and then when you're done in pencil, you're going to go back and you're going to write over each of the lines, and you're going to write the equation of each of the lines. You only need to write it one time. You want to kind of put a black line over it so it can show you the different lines. And then you're just going to color in the different areas like a stained glass. So that's really all you're doing. Don't overthink it too much. It's really just getting you experience with graphing lines. Now this is an 8-point progressing grade, and if you notice, the rubric is out of 16 total, so each of these boxes is actually worth a half a point. The only thing I want you to look at is right here where it says color. It says project is fully colored with many different colors, but you want to make sure it says at the end, let's see, project, I've got it right here. So it says, project is fully colored with many different colors. It has a colorful pattern and is mounted on colored paper. You do not have to have it mounted on colored paper, so you can cross that out. Okay, so I just want you to kind of take some time. Make sure you're using a ruler, that your lines are straight or some kind of straight edge. Okay, if you have any questions, you can feel